And what I mean by pre-flight checklist, it's just like you go over with your party. We're at clap comp today, so we're going to engage on this. This is how I do engages, blah, 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 blah. You want them to understand exactly what you're trying to intend to do at all times. That way, like the newer players who don't know how you do things may have a better time of working with you. Or it's just like, you make sure that you yourself don't forget anything, like Cleric Cowl, which I have forgotten once or twice. Which made things very difficult. Here we're going to look at brawl composition. This is not traditionally a very big brawl that we're running, but it's still kind of brawly, so it's good to show what we got going on here. I'll let the video play because brawl is a lot more decentralized in terms of like everyone should be communicating, whereas like clap train is more going to be focused on like a single caller, making like all of the commands, whereas like everyone surrounding him will be like feeding him information, like positioning on enemies and whatnot.
Gotta watch out for the rest of them.
So right here, we know that our composition in this one is going to be brawl. So what we want to do is we want big open spaces to really chase down people and to make a lot of problems for them. Now, when it comes to gankers though, see, here's the thing. Gankers don't usually have a composition. They just throw on whatever weapons that are good at single target or something like that, and they try to like chase down people. Gankers will never beat a proper composition unless like you're so overjuiced. But by and large, everything considered equal, a proper composition will always beat a ganking composition because you're just going to kill them a lot faster than they can kill you, especially if you group up and support each other. So right here, what we wanted to flow out into them, right, for the fight. But we did not realize that they had an InQ blazing ganking composition, which changes the fight fundamentally. This means that what they're looking for is they're looking to jump in and then CC and then get the blazing off. But you see, the problem here again is, once again, they engage way too far away. The Shotcaller said, I see a clump here and I'm going to go for it. Our party members said, hey, we see a guy running up to us, so we're going to spread out a little bit and maybe one or two of us get caught, but not everyone gets caught. And that's the good intention to do here. Right here you see like the Incubus catches two of our guys. I mean, he's going to catch someone, right? But it's better to be like further away and get caught and rely on your D-Tank, which is me, to help with like stopping the enemy's engages right here. So I see that he's going for InQ blazing, and we throw all of our defensives out right here to stop all of them as much as possible.
Take the fight, you guys.
And then afterwards, when I call for taking the fight, all of our DPS start to flow through. There is a little bit of difficulty because of the slow, the webs, things like that. But we get into the middle of the brawl, which is where we are the best at.
If you're low, call out.
Okay, did you use Hellfire? I mean,
Yeah, and as you can see, our players are still using the choke relatively for safety and stuff like that, where we have other players going out there to do damage and then come back as well if we need to. And we start killing them one at a time. They start to panic.
Thank you.
I have my Hellfire in 3 seconds. 3, 2.
Go for value, okay?
And they all just die.
Got blue in the back, you guys.
We can't grab loot.
Yeah. The last guy's looting. He's going back. He's looting.
Yeah, he's heading
northeast. Sorry about that. I got this one.
We went in with somewhere.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that ganker side, you saw that the call out for the brawl is way different. All I care about as a caller and brawl composition is that I'm going to try to put us in the best position as possible to make sure we can swarm over the enemy. There is no other calls necessary. I put us right here because I assumed that it was going to be gankers, people with claws, people with whatever. So then like we can make maximum use of our like Hellion jacks like that by sitting in the middle of them and like getting our healing up as well as making them weakers.
I'm coming.
Yep, careful.
Yep, take the fight, you guys. Take the fight.
Focus blazing and like their damage. Screw their tanks.
If you're low, call out.
And you see, like, they're just clumping up because they don't really know how to fight in this situation, kind of deal.
Okay, did you use Hellfire? I mean,
Yeah.
They're throwing their E's randomly all over the place. They don't know what they're doing.
I got E in 4
I
seconds.
They're panicking a little bit because they did not expect to be actually fighting a composition that knows how to fight against them.
3.
And then they start running because I'm pretty sure we killed their healer early on, or
value, okay?
like the healer just got really, really
Grab
low.
the loot in the back, you guys.
So The thing about most gankers and gank groups is they don't really have good like specced out healers, and the unfortunate case of it is most people gravitate toward ganking because they think it's the easiest way to get content, you know, stuff like that, but they don't really understand the whole IP system and just how much IP matters. Like these guys outnumbered us. We were only like what, 7, and we had 2 healers. We had 2 healers, 4 DPS, and there was like, I'm pretty sure like 3, 6, 8. Yeah, so they outnumbered us by like, let's see here, 1 or 2, and they had an Incu Blazing, which means that they could have one shot clapped us. What they should have done is, and I think a lot of people make the mistake of as a caller, is they tend to just put their boots in and then run in instead of just slowly creeping up on the group and, you know, like forcing out defensives or stuff like that, or making defensives mistimed, that kind of thing. That's just kind of like brawling right there. Is everyone's talking, saying, I'm like, hey, does anyone need Judy armor? I got Judy armor. Other people are like saying, hey, do you have your Hellfire Hands E up, or do you have this or that, or are you going in, that kind of stuff. From there, you can understand that like brawling is much more about talking with each other and telling each other information and working together as like a unit and being like, hey, are you getting low there? Hey, can you come over and heal me? Or hey, I have this ability. Can we like combine it with your ability? You know, that kind of stuff.
3 seconds. 3, 2.
Go for value, okay?
Grab
Yeah.
the loot. Grab
One
the
is
loot in
the-
the back, you guys.
Yep. So we managed to kill a lot of them. And one thing about Brawl though, you guys, is that the Brawl, in order to succeed in Brawl, you need to fulfill 1 or 2 of these 3 requirements. Either you need to outnumber them, you need to out IP them, or you need to out experience them. If you outnumber them, right, you can potentially take them all down. This is still dangerous because if they're a clap composition, they want you to brawl into them, and then they can do a defensive clump, gather everyone together, and then just explode you in one go. If you out IP them, then that's even better because generally speaking, you're going to be doing more damage, you're a little bit tankier, you can survive better, that kind of stuff. And if you out experience them, then like a lot of groups, and to be fair, like in Albion Online, a lot of people just don't do PvP, or a lot of people, when they do PvP, they don't really understand it that well. So like a very small fraction of the Albion population is actually good at PvP and is experienced enough to know what to do. You see right here, like in a couple of videos, where people just sort of misplay a lot of the times because they don't really understand what they want to be doing. Like this gank group, it's kind of like a bomb squad, and so they ran past me and 2 other people who had defensive skills to stop their bomb squad abilities, and then we just cleaned them up afterwards because we're Brawl. So we like survived through the bomb squad and then brawled into them and killed them. Here I'll show you one mistake I had, which is like overconfidence, right? So we were doing the tier 7 static, right? You know, we saw that there was a Sacrum Foetus or Team Suicide also right here. I'll just let the video play for a little bit.
Ooh. Oh no.
Yeah, and then we proceed to lose there. What I did here, the mistake I made here, was I got overconfident because I expected most groups, when they lose a party member or 2, they're going to start panicking and then they're going to start breaking. And what I wanted to do was push our way through and, you know, like rely on psychological, like, you know, effects to keep pushing. This is also kind of why I stopped playing Incubus inside of Fame Farms too. I started going with Golem instead because Golem gives you the best like hybrid between PvP and PvE. So my mistake right here. So right here, we should have called defensives, and we only have 1 healer as well, who's not really experienced in PvP healing either, and they don't have all the abilities that they should have either as well. But what we do really good here is we set up for the engage. Actually, right here, I should be calling out, you know, like the team is a little bit inexperienced, so they clump up all in the corner right there, and this dude just harasses them. And he just only has like, I think, a Clarent Blade or something like that, I think. No, he has like a Bloodletter. So he's not really doing much of anything, but he clumps up the team over here, and we don't really have a too much of a D tank at this point. Lilith is a D tank, but he doesn't have all the abilities yet that he needs. So you see, like, this is good right here. We get off a humongous clap. And then I think that they're beginning to break because look how low they are. And I know they're going to start panicking. So I go in for the call to go across and go into them. But the problem was I misjudged them. And so I should have been way more passive in playing, you know. Because again, they want to come to us. We don't have to go to them. So instead I tell my guys to run through the choke. And their timing for their engage was up at that point. So that means that they could engage on us. And then they clapped us right there. You see, we only killed one of them. And that's also a good explanation of how dangerous clap compositions are still. They lost 1 or 2 people, and they were still able to just, like, absolutely nuke us pretty hard. So that's an example of me miscalling right here when we had the win. All other things, you know, like saying, like, oh, yeah, you know, people, if we had more experienced people or whatever, that doesn't really necessarily matter as much. I mean, it does, but you got to work with what you got to work with, is what I'd say about that. If we had just like killed one, clapped them, and then go back, and then just like waited for them, you know, like had everyone reset and then waited for them, and then like went in for the fight again, we probably could have like won, or at least given them more casualties. But instead, we kind of just ran it down and inted. That's an explanation of like me overestimating ourselves, kind of deal, and overextending, I guess you could say as well.
I see.
Yeah, because I felt pressured inside the little tiny room, because I see them running into our backlines, and then like our backlines are just like flipping shit, you know what I mean? Like they're running around like with their heads cut off almost. And this is just kind of down to an experience thing too, I guess you could say.
Accurate.
Yeah, because it was just a bloodletter in the back, and he wasn't really that scary. I think it was about right about here. Yeah. So everyone's healing up and everything like that. And you see, like, so there's what? 8 of us. So 3 of us are right here staying spread out and everything like that. But like 5 of our dudes up here panicking about the one bloodletter who doesn't really do any damage. And then I almost pull back to try to like help our team out because, you know, they're like kind of panicking, which lets them come through here. Instead, we should be maintaining pressure on this choke here and just Q and Wing the guy behind us because he's not going to do anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe if you like had like a little bit more better heals, you guys probably could have survived that.
Yeah, I think Kim was also on nature healing. So they also stepped up into the choke too, which you never want to do. But again, this is not a VOD review of other roles, it's a VOD review of shot calling. So as shot caller, like you gotta always just stay calm, stay cool, and like don't over like extend yourself. You know, if it's always okay to play safe. So that was my one grievous mistake, and this was still pretty recent too. This was like 2 months ago. That's because I overestimated us and I ran it and I thought that we had them when they were ready to turn around and take us out. But that's because most people would break immediately instead of being ready to turn around. That's why I try to teach the guild is that like, hey, you know, even if you're 100 HP or whatever, go for that clap. When your caller calls off for the clap, give your life for the clap right here. Right? Because look, that's what they did. They were all low and everything like that. They had people in their backlines. Thank you for following. You can see here, this is my team right here trusting me and trusting the call to go through the choke. And then their team is also trusting them when he says clap on the choke. So it's just like, you see that? It was just bad all around for us. So barring everything else, if we had just played defensively, then we would have been able to really, really take them pretty well. If we had like, I should have been saying we need to play defensively because we only have one healer. We need to wait for their help. We need to wait for their mana. I should be telling the healer, hey, keep me updated on your mana bar. When you're low, then we need to be careful. So it's a lot of talking back and forth. So like a lot of people make the misconception that like shot calling is just you tell your army what to do and they do it. But in all actuality, a really good army and shot caller is one where they're feeding each other information all the time, which is why I'm saying like, hey, you know, Pierces, give me your timings if you're ready. Healers, tell me when you're low on mana. Tanks, tell me like information like, do you see enemy armies coming through? What kind of compositions do you see and that kind of stuff? So it's all really important to like have all this information, and like one of the skills of being a shot caller is being able to multitask, is able to absorb information and predict things ahead of time. A lot of people won't have that because you need experience to do that. So if you get burned, like sometimes what people do is they'll get burned a few times doing, lethal content, and they'll never go back to it again. So they'll never practice the skills on being a better caller or things like that. Or they only fight in situations where it's clearly advantageous to them, kind of deal. This is just an instance of like me being too aggressive with my shot calling instead of being a little bit more safer, because we had a lot more newer players, and so I should have been a little bit safer on that end. So I wasn't, and we kind of paid the price for that. So that's kind of like an example of Fame Farm fighting. Here is another one as well.
Fight.
Here we are running down to go get. We saw like a skull on the map, and this is something I always talk about is a problem. Is that like whenever you guys get a kill or anything like that, or your party gets a kill, that skull shows up, everyone sees it, and they're gonna start zooming over to it for content if they're aggressive, like what we are. So you always need to make sure that people are paying attention, that they don't just get sleepy, you know what I mean? Because people they'll be like, oh yeah, we want to fight, and then they'll just stop doing things. They'll turn off their brains. So at shot caller, you're pretty much babysitting them as well, kind of deal. And sometimes you just need to give the call out to when to sacrifice certain people as well. So here, here I want to do the sound here because I was trying something new out, which is I was trying to tell people when to use their boots and when to use their helmets.
Okay, everyone ready? Come in, come through.
No.
Yeah.
Go on.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Hit the clump. Hit the clump. Kill them all.
Yep. One behind, jacket going up.
Yep. Execute the guy that's
Trying
down.
to get to you if I can.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the enemy's engaged tank was like on the floor or something like that, but I mean
Right here, yeah, they're right here.
he wasn't stepping up, so yeah, he's right there, I think. But as you can see, I went for the much more passive
Come
here.
through.
No.
So I knew that this is dangerous right here to walk through, so I'm waiting for him to activate his, air compress.
Go on.
And then I immediately Judicator Helm to counter the engage. You see that? Because the stun lasts for 3 seconds or so. That's enough time to get people out of everything.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Hit the clump. Kill them all.
Yeah. So you see, we went for the counter engage instead of the aggressive engage, and that gave us better positioning on them, and they made them like a little bit more scared because you're running down into them, and people get scared naturally when you're running it down into them because they're like, why the fuck are they running at us? Like, do they know something? Are they better? And it's just difference in experience. So right there, like, I want to get us to boot in because I see that they firewalled early on for us, and you can use Night, and I think someone pops Night Helm too. Yeah. They popped Night Helm at the last second. My one mistake was I should have called going southeast, but the nice thing about Golem is that you cannot miss Golem. Like, it's just a giant fucking rock dude. You know what I mean? So it's like, how are you going to miss a giant rock dude and hitting on him? You just throw your E at the rock dude, and then you just kill everything, and then you're good to go. And the reason why I didn't go for the early engage there is because I wanted to waste all of their stuff first and get some better positioning. We don't have blink boots at this point. Who am I gonna really grab here? I'm not gonna grab anyone. So I'm gonna have my button on the Judicator Helm to stop any form of engage on us. I could have Judy armored us through first, but I want to save Judy armor in all actuality for when we need it, like when we're getting low, because we don't have a D-tank here. So really, I'm the only D-tank, so I need to be very, very cautious in how I use my buttons. And the first one I'm using is to stop a engage moment right here, because I know that they're going to feel pressure and they're going to go for the engage kind of deal. And if they don't go for the engage, then we're going to be in a better position to initiate on them either way, kind of deal. But really, it's down to their own experience that they didn't know what was going to be happening. They were all sort of scattered everywhere, and they just got killed off one at a time. And that's something like when in this game, like defensive play is very, very strong. in terms of you just are looking to counter engage on them, because when you counter engage on an enemy that just engaged on you, they're in position for your DPS to hit. The reason why a lot of people feel stressed out to engage first is because they don't actually have the most experienced D-tanks or even any D-tanks to help set them up, to help like put pressure on them to get them into a better position kind of deal.
Alright, we're looking north.
So here we were fighting Kot's Alliance. So here, since we're fighting Kot's Alliance, we also have 2 more D-tanks, and I can be a little bit more aggressive on the people that we're focusing on. Like, we don't need to necessarily go for defensive clubs either.
Looking northeast, in 3, 2, 1. Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club.
Good
Nice,
lord,
keep
this was a
going.
long time ago.
This was 4 months ago. Holy shit, when did you get in here? I did not expect their D-tanks to engage like that. I was actually looking to engage on this choke right here. But the nice thing about
2,
Hodge
1.
is that it's a long fucking pull. So, you see, look, the reason why I engaged here, right, and what they don't see, they're cut off from their army and their supports right here. They're way, way far off the screen. Like, I can't even see their feet. All I see right here is, like, 1 Heron Spear and 1 Carving Sword. So if we get the quick clap off on these guys and kill them, they're missing people, and then they're going to lose morale.
Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club. Nice, keep going.
So now we know. So now they know that I killed 2 of or 1 of them and put pressure on them. And then I call for defensives because they're gonna go for a quick engage here. I almost get fucking deleted myself because of that, but you know.
Yep, keep cutting, keep cutting, keep cutting. Next engage is in 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds.
A lot of people chase after loot too. Don't worry about loot, you guys. You're gonna get loot when you win the fight. If you lose the fight, you get no loot. It's better to have some of the loot or win the fight than have no loot, than go after the loot like a greedy ass and then die because you were greedy. Soul Demon is not good versus a good team. You pop yourself.
They have
absolutely
designated looters.
Yeah. But we had 2 demon armors there, and we I think Dread was running a demon armor himself, so like that. So we overlapped it right here. So as you can see here, like, even though I've been preaching for the past like hour that you shouldn't go for deep engages, the difference here is Hodge is actually a unique form of engage in that you pull them back towards your lines. So you tell your team that you're going to go for the direction you're going for, and you're going to pull them back towards them. The dedicated looter thing is really good if you have the space for it. So if you're looking at like maybe 15 plus people, but between like anything lower than that, you need every single person on your team to be either fighting or supporting or something like that. This is why traditionally D-tanks will step up to do the looting, because they're not going to get engaged on, generally speaking, and they're going to be really tanky, and they're already up there anyways. So it's good to do that kind of stuff. And when you do have demon armor, you always want to run 2 demon armors, but you can also run solo demon armor if you're very good about not dying too. So right here we go for the
2,
engage.
1. Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club.
And as you can see, the team is already in position to do the clap because they know that I'm going to be pulling it backwards into them. I went through my pre-flight checklist and told them, hey, I'm running Hodge today. So what I'm going to be doing, and this is to remind myself too about what we're doing, is I'm going to go into them and pull them back into us. I mean, I think it's like, what, a good 3-4 inches on my screen. So like, if you're stepping up, yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Back it up.
Oh, they
Oh,
routed
I'm
the
silent.
chest. There's people routing the chest.
That's fine, that's fine.
We're here for a
We're
fight.
for the fights, yeah. Okay, keep going forward, keep going forward. Push forward, push forward, push
We're
forward.
not.
And there's not really much else here. I think we just wipe them up, mop them up a little bit. But as you can see, like, there's many different engage methods. So as a Shotcaller, you want to be able to tell your party, hey, this is how I'm engaging, which is why, again, I go over the pre-fight checklist. If you're going to be Golem, you just say, when I turn to a Golem and do the countdown, just hit on me, hit E on me, no matter what. You know what I mean? Or if you're doing like the Hodge, you're going to be like, I'm going to pull them into us. So I'm going to go northeast and pull into us. When you see them spinning, hit on me no matter what. Or like hit on where my original location was, because generally speaking, when you Hodge backwards, you're going to Hodge back to where you started off at. If you're going for like one-handed, you know, like the mace engage, then you're going to be like, hey, you know, anyways, there's like a ton of different engage methods, but being a Shotcaller is being clear to your composition what you're doing, how you're doing it. And it's very tough because a lot of shot callers don't play other roles to understand that, like, when you're playing as a DPS, you don't see fucking shit. You're in the back, like playing like, where do I fucking, hit my E at? You know what I mean? Because you don't want to step up too far, but you also don't want to be too close. You got to maintain that distance. So clarity as a caller is important as much as possible. And when you have good D-tanks and a lot of D-tanks, you can take your time to set up the engages as you want to set up the engages. And this is also about trust too, as well too. Like the reason why these guys hit on these clumps so well is because we practice time and time and time and again. A lot of PvPers think that they don't need practice or anything like that. Bullshit. You need practice every single day. If you're not practicing every single day, or at least like frequently, then you're losing your skills against people who are practicing every single day. Not to say you have to be like crazy and you'll be like dog shit or whatever, but if you want to get good, if you want to be experienced, you want to keep practicing and keep an open mind about how to improve yourself every single day. Is there anything else after this? I don't think so. I think they come out again, and then it's nothing really that important. When it comes to small-scale fighting, I also forgot to mention, a key factors about small-scale fighting is that you need to know your terrain and what you're up to as well. So my initial thought was I wanted to pull up the army.
We're looking north.
And hit these chokes right here, because clap composition is extremely strong in the middle of chokes. But because they overextended by a lot...
3, 2, 1. Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club.
Yeah, because they overextended a lot, we were able to just hit them out in the open kind of deal.
Next engage is in 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. Next engage ready.
Yeah, and you're going to be talking a lot too. So I hope you really do like talking. Because the 1 second you're not telling your party what you're doing, they're going to lose cohesion. They're going to start to, like not know what to do. So that's why you hear me talking so much in comms, is because I'm always saying like looking east, looking north, looking west, looking north, like we're engaging 10 seconds, 5 seconds, like that kind of stuff. You have to keep on like talking.
2, 1, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club. Nice.
And when you calm out that you're looking in a certain direction, then your D-tanks can set up for you too. Like you see Jeff here.
Next engage ready in 3, 2, 1. Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the...
So you see right there? I think I called on north. I hope I called on northeast.
Next engage is in 5 seconds, 5 seconds.
Just keep kiting, just keep kiting.
Yep, keep kiting, keep kiting, keep kiting. Next engage is in 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. Next engage ready in 3, 2, 1. Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club. Nice.
The nice thing about Hodge as well is that the engage is actually very, very long. So DPS that are stepped up can see the engages happening and like react to it a little bit better. Versus like the one-handed mace air compress thing, which pulls in a lot of people from way, way further. But it's much harder to really time all of that together.
It's nice, nice. Keep going, keep going, keep
so
going.
So right here, I should have been calling out the direction. I'm very lucky that Jeff was experienced enough to know that I was looking
3,
at the northwest.
2.
Right here. Because he sees me blinking in, right? If he wasn't paying attention, then he wouldn't have set up for me right here. See, look at that. Like that setup right there. So again, like my mistake here was I did not call out which direction I was looking at to go for the engage, so I couldn't help set up my team. So I want to set up my team better that way.
Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club.
So we go for the engage right there. And as you can see, like they don't I think we killed 1 or 2 of their D-tanks already. So their D-tanks was not able to stop the engage right here on them. Because if their D-tanks was like right here in middle of us, then he could have potentially looked to save his whole team. But he got too aggressive too early on, and that's why I'm saying, like, again, like part of shot calling is telling your army what you want from them. So like you can tell them, hey, D-tank, I want you to operate near me, I want you to set up for me, I want you to like do this or that or that. And at the end of the day, sometimes some people are not very experienced.
Keep cutting, keep cutting.
So
next engage is in 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. Next engage ready in 3, 2, 1. Hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club, hit the club. Nice, nice, nice. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? This is kind of like my small scale section right there. So I went from Fame Farm to small scale. Now we're going into medium scale. All right, and I'll talk about the small Fame Farm, medium scale, that kind of stuff. Small scale is pretty much, in my opinion, anything from like up to 10, maybe even 15 people. But medium scale kind of starts from like I would say around 12, 14 to like 20 people. And so what the difference is that like in small scales, you may not have like a lot of defenses or things like that. So is D-Tank defensive thing? Yes. And D-Tank comes in 2 types of flavors. Disrupt Tank which means you're in the enemy's back lines, making their DPS's life miserable, or defensive tank, which means that like you're really popping like defensive cooldowns like, you know, demon armors or, you know, like guardian runes or things like that. So you play kind of differently. So like disruptive D-tank is you're being proactive, you're trying to read the enemy's intent and to stop them before they get off their like engages. The reason why you don't want to hit the engage tank is, you know, if the engage tank gets their engage off but the DPS isn't there, then the engage tank is going to be off timered from their DPS. So it creates like a really, really bad situation for the team. If you stop the engage tank, they can still perma your ass and kill you with clap off of big perma, you know. The D tank is still, or the engage tank can still say hit on me still, you know, even if they didn't get an engage off, and they can still potentially kill like a D tank or two. Yeah, you can definitely do a variety of compositions. So a lot of people misunderstand that like you need to have a ton of DPS or things like that. In all actuality, the way Albion works is the more DPS or the more people hitting one enemy, the less damage you do overall. So like if 2 people are hitting someone, then you only do like 95% damage each person. You know, like then there's a difference between range and melee. But suffice to say, like there's a ton of different methods, compositions, and all sorts of things to be really, really good. I mean, you could potentially get like kills, you know, stuff like that with 4-man, 3-man DPSs, you know, and tons of others like classes to help support and D-tank and that kind of stuff. And it's really up to you to find out as a shot caller what your guild's tempo is like, what you want, what you like to do. I'm still learning the other roles we need to counter. Yeah. I mean, if your guild's only healer and shot caller, it's gonna be a little bit tough because you need to have, if you run the clap composition, you're going to need to be like, hey, I know that I'm the general caller, but you're going to be the specific fight caller. That can create a little bit of problems in calling. So, not to say it's a bad thing, but you can also run Brawl too. But you also need to fulfill the requirements, like I mentioned before, in terms of Brawl. So, anyways, yeah.